We're back with another exciting visual presentation. Let's go. All right, our first matchup, Egg United versus Staying Alive. Oilers core 3 are electric, putting up an average of 2.91 fantasy points over 12 man games, 35 fantasy points in total. Lenny's Legends draft pick, Mario Ferraro, a.k.a. Mr. Consistent, tallies 9.6 fantasy points in 4 games. Looks like Staying Alive, though, has been getting the better of the trade. Alex Ovechkin, only 1.9 fantasy points, while Zach Hyman had 15.1. Not quite 51. Another bad goaltending week for Staying Alive. Lindgren and Ullmark with a combined -4 fantasy points. It looked good early for Staying Alive this big day 3. We had a rare week when there were 2 days, including Thanksgiving Day in the U.S., when there were no games on the schedule. But getting back to day number 3, Staying Alive pulled ahead, but then they ran out of gas, and another losing week for Staying Alive. 0-7-1. It goes to 4-3. Next up, Lenny's Legends versus Los Mustachios. Big win. One of the most lopsided affairs in league history. And we're happy to report that McDavid is back. As well, Kreider and Forsberg both total over 13 fantasy points for the week. Schwartz, awful. He's going to perhaps see the waiver bin. 0.5 fantasy points this week. So the big 3, McDavid, Kreider, and Forsberg, get it done for Lenny's Legends. The Mustachios, though, 10 players record less than 4 fantasy points on the week. Now look at the graph here. It was Lenny's Legends with the lead at the beginning, then a big lead on day 3. Now look at day 5. Look, the graph had to be put up to 50 points. Unheard of. The big almost 50 points on day 5, and they coasted to victory. Actually, 132 was only 3 points off the record for most points in a week, also held by Lenny's Legends. McDavid with 21.1 fantasy points. Might have been first in the league, maybe second. One of the goalies, Hellebuck, I think, had a big number as well. So look at the graph. It was never close. Well, it was kind of close first day, but then Lenny's Legends pulled away for the easy victory. Third matchup, Doketown Danglers versus Team 1. This was a close one. 110.8 to 104.8. Unfortunate matchup for the Danglers. Scored the highest of any losing team. A new record. They would have beaten 6 other teams this week. John Gibson for Team 1 recorded -10.4 points. So could have lost it for them, but they secured enough points to come out on top. Lenny's Legends draft pick Valery Nichushkin had 13.6 fantasy points. I guess I mentioned here Legends bad drop. Well, when you have a stacked team, sometimes you got to drop a good player. As I was mentioning, Connor Hellebuck with a big performance, 19.8. Not quite the total that McDavid had, but I think that was second place for the week. So, Team 1 got off to a lead, still leading, expanding the lead on day 3. Doketown Danglers, though, come back a little bit each day after that, the remaining 3 days, but not quite enough. Team MVP for Team 1, Nathan McKinnon. All right, next matchup. Still a skill stick fail, going up in flames. JT Miller, currently the second highest scorer in the NHL, real points, continues his steady dominance. While Kuzmenko, I think he might have been benched This week, I don't know. I've been hearing things like that about Kuzmenko, only 0.2 fantasy points. Awful. Goof, going up in flames. Tough loss, losing to Skill Stick Fail, who was only 2-5, or 1-5. Both 1-5 teams, but Skill gets the second victory. Quinn Hughes, Flames MVP, is the only player to put up more than 10 fantasy points. So you look at the graph, Skillstick got off to a big lead, but then going up in flames seemed to get it almost all back on the next day. But then Skillstick did not fail in getting the strong performance the last 3 days, especially days 5 and 6. So that's what it turned out to be, a victory for Skillstick Fail. JT Miller, 12.4 fantasy points. Next, Slay All Day versus Team Latenderini, who has since, big news, changed their name. We'll get to more of that next week. Kucherov continues to look like one of, if not the best draft picks, drafted 27th overall, leading the NHL in scoring, 14.1 points. It was Team Latenderini with the victory over Slay All Day, going to 6-1, tied for the best record with Lenny's Legends. Now, Pettersson, surprisingly, only 3.1, but it was enough because New Jersey, Slay is heavy on New Jersey players. Jack Hughes with only 3.9 and Vanacek with negative 1.2. Mark Stone, only 1.2. So, poor performances by Slay's top guns. You look at the first day, however, it was Slay All Day with the big day, but then day 3, Latenderini clawed back. And then, what do we see? It was back and forth, but in the end, Team Latenderini had just enough points. You can see this crazy graph. It was back and forth, but Slay All Day just came up a little bit short. And let's look at the league-wide points, the race for the President's Trophy. All right, here we have Skillstick Fail, and let's look at the expanded view down here. Skillstick Fail and Staying Alive way down here.
You're a loser.
To themselves at the bottom. While we have Slay All Day and Going Up in Flames, stopping here at Second Cup for a hot beverage. Then you got the Mustachios all by themselves over here. Then we got the Blue Man Group, the 4 blue teams bunched all up. And then at the top sits Lenny's Legends with quite at this moment a commanding lead for the President's Trophy. Next up, this might be hard to see for those of you who wear glasses. This is the marquee matchups. Well, we thought United versus Team 1 would be a marquee matchup, but look at it. 22-point lead for Team 1. We thought, looking at how things stacked up with who was playing, the number of games, Tampa Bay, 5-game week, we thought Staying Alive could put on a strong push for their first victory, but right now, they're about 20 points behind Lenny's Legends. Going Up in Flames, Doketown Danglers, it's a close one. Maybe at this point we would say this is the only close matchup, or the closest matchup so far as we stand at this point on Thursday. Oh, here's the new name. We'll get it this week. How is this happening? Has what is it? 9 plus 3 equals 12. A 12-point lead over Skillstick Fail. Some really low scores. 17.1 and only 16.4 for Los Mustachios. Slay All Day with another big, shouldn't have said another, but another, speaking of Team 1 being the first. Another 50-point performance, 51.9. So it's Team 1, then Slay All Day. Then Lenny's Legends seem to be in a class of themselves for this week. And then we have a few in the low 30s, mid 20s, high 20s. And then we got those trailing far behind, 17.1, 16.4. So we're gonna say that this is the marquee matchup. Our eyes are on Going Up in Flames and the Doketown Danglers. All right. Do we have another slide? Not really, but the curtain's open to reveal that we will see you next week.